Hello, and welcome to the Senior Spotlight. This is a great opportunity to showcase senior citizens that have contributed to the Piscataway community. I am Amy Bauman, Director on Aging for Piscataway. Today's guest needs no introduction. Welcome, Joyce Coles, the coordinator of the 2023 International Women's Day. Joyce, how did you get involved in coordinating International Women's Day?
Well, I like people, and being in the center, I want to get to know all the different women, different background, different races, different cultures. So when I heard it was International Women's Day, I thought this is a great place to do a women's program because we have every nationality and culture that comes to the center. So I went around introducing myself to the women and encouraging them to get involved. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and they didn't know what they were going to do, but it worked out.
What is International Women's Day?
Well, International Women's Day, we don't actually celebrate all of it, but it really started back, I believe, in Russia, and it dealt with women wanting a voice, and then it came into the U.S. And I don't know if it was in the 70s that it was actually recognized as a International Women's Day. But it is an ability for women to get involved. And I see its involvement in work as well as in home life. So it helps women to change their thinking about what it is that women should be doing.
The Senior Center is going to be having International Women's Day on March 7th and 8th. And what is the theme this year?
This year's theme is Walk With Me. Seniors are aging, and it really occurred to me that after COVID, when you come back and you start to miss people, and you didn't keep in contact with folks. And so the theme is really about walking with me, staying in touch with me, as well as embracing differences, because we're all different in the center. We're all humans, but we're all different.
Okay, and we're asking everyone to wear purple and white. Is there a significance behind that?
Well, purple is royalty, and women are royalty. So that's why purple. White is also another color that denotes cleanliness, clean, purity. And so purple and white are perfect for Women's Day. Women have such a varied background and come from so many different cultures that the purple will signify those who are aging and they have lived, and so they are royalty. And then the white for those younger women maybe who are still innocent in many ways, and so that's why purple and white.
Very good. Joyce, you have been very active in the Piscataway community. What is your background and what was your career?
If I go way back, I was actually an organizer for unions. And so it allowed me to meet people. And then I became a director of a health hospital, Beth Israel, which is no longer in Manhattan. And I did that for about 13 years. And interacting again with the staff and negotiating collective bargaining agreements, which made me involved with people. And I think that's where my interest came from, really getting to know people, to know who's sitting across from you at the table, to understand why they're sitting across from you and what they want from you. And then I moved on to become a consultant for healthcare. And that was the most exciting time of my life because I got to do different things. I got to work with David Cooper Ryder on emotional intelligence and got to do a lot of work with him, got to learn a lot about Gestalt teaching, but all of it involves people, not looking at the color of someone's skin or their background or the educational criteria. It involves working with people. And too many times our communities put people on a pedestal if they have this, if they have their PhD or they're a doctor or they're a nurse, and they forget about the small person. And they seem to set them to the side. And one of the wonderful things about the Senior Center is you can't set people to the side. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what their background was. It matters about today.
Very good. Why do you believe that being active in the community is so important here in Piscataway?
I believe that every citizen in Piscataway should be active. This is where we live, okay? This is where I want to have input into what's going on, input in what's being built, and having knowledge of what's around me. I think the more active you are, then you have some knowledge. And many people, if you just are not active, you're inactive, you lack the knowledge. You can read a paper, but if you don't interact with folks in various groups and organizations, you still lack the knowledge because you haven't gained anything. You're just reading. You can read a document, and I can read all the data you want me to read about people. But if I don't find out the why behind something, then you're lost. You are really just operating on your own personal imaginations.
What other organizations are you involved in here in Piscataway?
Well, I'm involved in the trustee for senior housing, the Senior Advisory Council, and the Piscataway African American Seniors Club, and anything that'll keep me moving. Any organization that'll keep me moving, I will get involved in.
Very good. How has that helped you, Joyce, being involved personally?
Well, it has given me a different outlook on life. It has made me recognize, because when I meet people, everybody has a story to tell. And if you take the time to listen to their story, you get to understand them. You get to understand their backgrounds as well as their culture. And guess what? They enjoy sharing it. Okay, so this morning when I came into the center, I tasted something I never had before, and it was delicious, and it was made by another culture, but it was enjoyable. And that's what is so different, is being involved in learning, sharing, and growing.
Do you have any advice to our viewers today about getting involved in the community?
My advice is don't sit still. Don't let the world happen around you and you do nothing. Don't sit still. And it's also don't sit still for seniors, because if you sit still, parts of your body get stuck, okay? So you want to keep moving. You want to stay active. And don't just dream it, live it.
Joyce, tell me about your TV show, Woman Talk. What inspired you to get started with this show?
I actually was inspired by the women of Piscataway in the Senior Center, getting to know women. And I recognize that you can go anywhere, and women love talking. They will talk about anything, everything, anytime, anywhere. I have had conversations with women, eavesdropped on conversations. It is amazing. And so I said, why not have women come together? Because it's another form of sharing and getting to know different cultures and understanding them.
I can't believe we're out of time right now, Joyce. I just want to thank you for coming on the show today. And I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for sharing your time with us. Please join us next time when another senior shares their talents and how they contribute to the community. Hello, and welcome to the Senior Spotlight. I'm Amy Bauman, the Director on Aging for Piscataway Township. Today, I am honored to have Lorraine Ledbetter as the guest on the Senior Spotlight today. Lorraine welcome to the show today.
Well, it's great to be here.
As you know, March is Women's Month, and I have chosen some women who I thought would be excellent to have on the show today that are very interested and innovative, and you are one of those women.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say I'm so happy you decided to join me today. I just wanted to ask you, when did you realize that you wanted to become a painter?
When I was very young, I always drew everything I had seen in sight. I copied things in my house, and I loved to paint, I loved to draw. It was just one of my passions.
Did you go to school for art, or how did you learn how to do your talented work?
I never went to school for it. I just did it. I just used to do things I saw, and I loved to draw, and my teachers always put my stuff up in the class. It was just fun.
Lorraine, do you remember what was your very first painting or picture that you did?
Yes, I did. And I just found it the other day because my aunt was an artist. So she gave me my first canvas, and I painted a vase, a pretty vase. And that was my first painting she gave me when I needed. And she was a very, very wonderful artist. And now I see my stuff is very similar to hers.
Did it take a long time for you to figure out that you really wanted to be a painter? I know you said that you were always experimenting when you were a child, but did it take you a long time to realize that Lorraine should be a painter?
When I was about 11 years old, I displayed all my paintings in a park with my aunt. We used to do them on the benches, and people would see all my stuff, and I'd make very far out stuff, like weird things, but girls with big hair and just all different things. And that was something that I liked, but after a while I stopped, and then I picked it back up again.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever done photography, or have you got into sculpting before?
Never.
You just really focused on painting?
Painting, and I love to work with oil. I have worked with acrylic, but I enjoy the oil because you can mix colors better and you go back to it. But
Okay.
I did do some acrylic, which are like out of space pictures, which I have a few in here.
Do you want to open your book and
Sure.
and show us some of the
Sure.
paintings that you've done?
Well, after a while, I decided to do my own house in Staten Island. I do houses. That was one of my main things. I did houses for people. They wanted their house done, I painted their house. And then word of mouth, people asked me to do their houses. So it became a thing. But then I started doing pets, and I did my grandson's school in Greenbrook. I took a picture in Pennsylvania, and I came home and painted it. So sometimes I do that. My husband inspired me to do that. He said, take a picture of where you are and then paint it. Or bring your easel on our vacations. And then I did houses for people. Did something for myself for Christmas, and it wasn't enough just doing that. I decided to put some lights in it, which really made it look pretty. And then all these other things, houses. My dentist asked me to do his office, so I did his office, and it's in his office to this day. It's sitting in his office in Staten Island.
I have a question. Have you ever been paid for any of your paintings?
Mm-hmm. Not much, but yes. Yes. And
Okay.
I have a realtor who sold my house, and I told him I paint houses. So he gives me houses to paint when he sells them. And then he gives them to the people that buy their house, and he gives it to them at closing. And that
isn't
becomes a gift for them.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's a job for me. And I've done about 4 or 5 of them for him already.
That's really interesting.
And that's really great.
What a
And
nice gift.
pets.
What a nice gift to give someone that just bought a house.
Pets. I
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
know. The pets are unbelievable. People, they flip over the pets. And I could do them quick.
Now,
These
did
is-
you have a pet that you had painted before? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I had a dog, which was my first dog picture. And my husband almost cried when he saw it. That was him.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first dog picture. But then people, friends were asking, can you do my dog? And it became a thing. And it's such a pleasure to do that and see their faces. You know, it's very touching doing somebody's pet. And then I did a mural when my kids were young. I decided to do a mural. And it was Little Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, and it was a whole forest. When you closed all the doors, you were in the forest. And they loved it. They were young. They were little. They're grown women now.
Now, did you do any other rooms in your house, or was this the only one that you did?
I had done this, and I've done a few for my grandson's rooms. I did Winnie the Pooh for my grandson when they were little on their wall. And then I did Thomas the Train when they got older.
What a good grandmother you are. That's
Yeah,
great.
they loved it.
Now, I remember at the Halloween party, you came in dressed like an artist. And I love the picture of you because you had, you were all looking like an artist with your paintbrush.
I went all out with
Yes,
that.
yes.
That was really fun.
And that was the first time that I knew about you as a painter. And you gave a picture to the center of the senior center that you had painted. And we have it hanging up on our wall.
Yes, yes.
It was very nice.
That's so nice.
Yes.
That was fun. That was so much fun doing that. Trying to find a hat and, just putting that easel on my waist the way I did.
Yes, yes.
That was hysterical. But it was so good. It really went over well.
It did, because you were informed the whole time. You had your easel and your brush the whole time. It
Everything.
looked beautiful, yes.
Yes, it was great.
Do you have any artists that you compare your work to, or that you would think that, that...
Well, Thomas Kincaid is a big inspiration for me because the things he does is very colorful, and that's what I like. I like colors. I try to do something with just 2 colors, and I just can't do it. I just love to add colors. That's why I like doing houses, because I do the landscaping and all, and the trees, and that's all colorful stuff, and it's not boring.
Who were your biggest supporters when you first started to paint versus right now?
Oh, my husband. He always encouraged me to paint, and he couldn't wait until he saw what I produced once I took that brush in my hand. He couldn't wait to see the results, and very encouraging.
And where do you find your inspiration to continue to paint?
Well, in my house, I have a beautiful sunroom, and it's light, and I paint in there. It's just, I really enjoy it.
Lorraine, who are your supporters now in your life?
My daughters. My daughters. I have 2 daughters, Jody and Mandy. You met Mandy. And they're they're wonderful supporters. And I have 2 grandsons who are wonderful, and they're very supportive too. And they're very interested in my art. In fact, my grandson did a slideshow for me, at Christmas about a year ago. All my paintings he put, and we saw the whole slideshow on the TV.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, it was a beautiful gift. And my grandson, my younger grandson, Justin, is unbelievably talented with pictures. He makes us books with pictures of our vacations. He's very, very good with that stuff.
What art trends currently inspire you right now? I know you talked about Kincaid, but is there any other kind of art trends that you look at?
I really just have to see something that hits my eye, or I get an idea of something that inspires me, and then I'm like all out to paint it. Like I have to have an inspiration or something that sparks my thought as to what I want to paint, and then I just go for it.
Okay. Do you have a dream art project?
Not really. I go with the flow, pretty much.
Well, I think you pretty much fulfilled all your dreams of painting with all the different beautiful paintings that you've painted.
I'm right now thinking about doing a big canvas for myself, for my living room, and I just don't know what I'm going to paint yet. But once I get it, it's going to be great.
You have a display at the JFK Library right now. And how did that all come about?
Well, I had about 25 pieces of art in the Y for about 2 months. And I got a lot of recognition from that. And then I spoke to Kathleen from the library, and she wanted me to put some of my stuff up. So I put all my other stuff up that I didn't have in the Y, and some of it. And she put it up for me, and she loves having it on display. People see it when they come in. I got a lot of compliments the day I was putting it up. And I try to be part of her projects. She had a couple of projects that I did too, a couple of small paintings that a lot of people did. So that was in her showcase. And so were some things that I made, like kits. They were like little houses. And she displayed them in her showcase. And that was really fun. People loved it.
What are your ultimate goals as an artist when you sit down to paint?
Like I said, I need an inspiration first, and then I get the joy out of either it's for myself or for someone else. I get a lot of pleasure out of pleasing other people more than myself. And that's really a big inspiration.
Do you have any advice for anyone that's watching today that may want to start painting, what they should do?
Well, the first thing is if they like to draw, it's always good to have things you need to draw with, and just be imaginative and just do something that comes to their mind and use a lot of color. And they'll see that once they do one thing, they're going to love it and they're going to want to do more. And then they'll reach out and do more.
Very good. Lorraine, thank you for taking the time to be on the Senior Spotlight today.
It was my pleasure.
And thank you to the viewers for taking the time out of your day to watch the Senior Spotlight. me on the outlook for future shows and interesting and creative senior citizens. Hello and welcome to the Senior Spotlight. I'm Amy Bauman, the Director on Aging for Piscataway Township. And today I'm honored to have Camille Fernicola as a guest on the Senior Spotlight today. Welcome, Camille.
It's good to be here, Amy. Thank you.
Well, as you know, this is Women's Month, and that's why I've asked you to be on the show today, because I'm highlighting important women in the community. And I just wanted to know, Camille, how long have you been a Piscataway resident?
My family and I moved to Piscataway in 1972. I became a representative of my development because the developer wasn't finishing the houses. So I took the petition around. And that's how I got to meet Mayor Ted Light and the Township Council at the time. And before you know it, I was involved in Piscataway.
Well, that's very interesting. What brought you to Piscataway?
Good family life and good schools.
That's a great way to move somewhere where you feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
And what was your career? Can you tell me about that?
Before I moved to Piscataway, I was an executive secretary and then a community relations person. And then I had my children and, you know, as they got older, I became more involved in the community. And then later on, I went out and got a full-time job again. I was working in the insurance industry in Piscataway, Continental Insurance, and I was an analyst for them. And then I went to work for the New Jersey Department of Transportation, and that was simultaneously when I was a freeholder in Middlesex County. Well, we went through quite a few years there.
Yeah.
I started out as a township council member.
And how many years did you do that for?
I did that total for about 17 years. First 15 years, and then I ran for, I lost an election and came back, and then ran for the county commissioner, which is what they call it now. And then I just, it was 17, and then when Councilman Griffith, Michael Griffith died, I jumped in and finished his term for the convenience of not having to, screen and all the other points. I knew what I was doing, hopefully, and I was able to fill in for him. And
It's interesting.
the
'Cause
government.
I remember Councilman Griffin.
Yes, very nice
Yes.
man. We were very fortunate to have him.
Yes, we were.
As with Councilman Ballard, who recently passed.
Yeah, he just passed away on February 15th this year. He was 82 years old. And I have a question, Camille. Do you have any thoughts or memories of Jim Bullard?
Well, the first memory I had of him was in this setting when I came to participate in the mayor's program, and he was behind the camera, and he set me up with a microphone and made us feel very comfortable. He was just a great man. He was so glad to be alive, as you know, because he was working on a transplanted heart, and he was a delightful person.
Yeah, he took a lot of pictures at the senior center.
Yeah.
And I think one reason he did that was he was just so happy to be out and about. And he will be really missed.
He will be. But he set a good example for so many people.
Yes, young and old. I
Right.
totally agree. Yes.
A good legacy.
Yes.
And he was on the Township Council for so many years. It was good to know him. Hopefully they'll say that about us when we're gone.
Yes. Now, Camille, what other committees are you on here in the township?
Right now, I'm on the Senior Citizen Advisory Commission. I'm serving on that. And I'm on the Library Foundation Board.
Okay.
We haven't been meeting too often, but I'm very much an advocate of good public libraries, and Piscataway is blessed with the Kennedy Library in Westergaard, and we've got very good leadership there.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Yes.
Not enough people use the libraries, though,
Yeah.
but
But they have excellent programs over there, don't they?
they do.
Very innovative, creative programs.
Right.
My other question is, what other committees were you on when you lived in Piscataway? Because you've lived here so many years, and you were involved in so many different areas.
Right. Well, after a year of living here, I was elected as a Democratic committee woman in my district. That I live off Park Avenue, on Westfield Avenue. And being involved in that, I got to know the mayor better and the council people, and they set up a bicentennial commission. Now Piscataway had been 300 years old. Piscataway is very old, and it was much larger. It's been pieced up through the years, but they were looking forward to the United States of America bicentennial, which from 1776, and in 1976, we had a group of people who had been planning for parade, bicentennial ball. We had something at the high school called the Expo 76, which Mary Linden was on the staff at the Board of Education, and she was wonderful in setting up all of the demonstrations and tables at the high school. It rained, but maybe that was good because it brought more people out. I have left many of my bicentennial papers with the Piscataway Kennedy Library Local History Room. And I have one book here that actually I borrowed it and I have to bring it back. But the Local History Room has a lot of the papers and pictures from
And
the
this is in the library?
bicentennial
Is
at
this in-
Kennedy Library.
Kennedy Library?
Right.
Wow.
Anybody could go there, but
Okay, yeah.
you have to stay in the room to do the research.
Okay.
So we have a lot of people that, are gone. And part of the commission, was very fine historian Walter C. Moyley. He wrote the history of Piscataway in 1966, before I came to Piscataway. And when we started our bicentennial commission in the early 70s, I suggested that he update the history of Piscataway, and he took the ball and ran with it. And he has written many histories of buildings which no longer exist. They were knocked down in Piscataway. And it's a wonderful history. So I realize that all you have to do is suggest, and some people take that suggestion and run with it, and it just blossoms from there. It's really great.
So have you spent a lot of time reading about the history of Piscataway?
No.
It seems like no. No? Okay. All right. Okay.
But when I have a question, I know where to go. No, I just look at the pictures.
Okay. Well,
if I could see it, but I don't. Large print is in my bailiwick now. I like
this book here is all a book about you.
This.
Camille Fairnicola.
Well,
Yes.
I have to say I'm so proud of this because
And
during
you-
the
and,
70s,
Maybe
Yes.
the viewers would like to see the book if you'd like to hold it up, because it's really beautiful.
Which
Yeah,
camera are we working with?
that one. Yeah.
During the early 70s, my children, my daughter was the oldest. Her name is Karen. And she sort of resented the fact that I was always running out to meetings after supper and cleaning up the dishes and all. And she sort of had some resentments. But later on in life, when we were cleaning up my papers, she asked to sort them out, and then she put together this book. It's sort of a biography as I evolved through the years, starting as a councilwoman and working on the bicentennial. And I tell you, she did a great job. I'm so proud of her. Let's see. And then at the end, she put some pictures of when she was a child and me young, and at one of my son's weddings. So I had 3 children. Karen was the oldest, then David Fernicola and Thomas Fernicola. Very proud of them. And this book, we had a copy made for the local history room as well. So I usually bring it with me when we're talking about my past life. Now I have a different life, and it's more subdued as a senior citizen, enjoying the senior citizen building and all the programs that you have there, and the luncheons and the parties, and it's a lot of fun.
I've got a question. Maybe you already talked about it, but how long were you a freeholder or a commissioner?
12 years.
12 years?
Right.
What did you like the best about being a Middlesex County Commissioner?
A lot of meetings. I'm not sure I like that so much, but I got to meet many people. Now, the reason why I originally got involved, even locally in Piscataway, was because as a parent of preteens and teenagers, they were riding their bicycles all over. Of course, they walked all over. We took them by car when we needed to. But they were out there in the world, and I was always concerned about their safety. So when an opening on the council came up, the township council, I thought it was a good way for me to promote my interest in bicycle safety and sidewalks, because at the time there weren't that many bikeways and sidewalks in Piscataway. And I must say, Mayor Waller has really been very good in that area. He's a proponent of safety, walking and bicycling. So I'm very happy that he's on board with that activity. So he
Sounds like you were a wonderful example as a mother to your children, trying to promote that bike safety.
Well, they were all over. I'm telling you, they were out there in traffic, and I always worried. Parents worry, you know.
Oh yeah, we do. We do. Yes.
But if we make life a little safer for them, we don't have to worry as much. At least we'll say that we did as much as we could to keep them safe.
I have a question, Camille. Do you have any suggestions to our viewers today about getting involved in the community?
It's getting involved in Piscataway. There's so many ways to get involved. There are boards and commissions. There are activities such as the fire companies, volunteer fire, volunteer rescue squad. And you get to meet so many wonderful people and your neighbors. And it doesn't even have to be organized activities. It could be just being a member of the community center, the wonderful new community center that we have. That's been talked about since the 1970s. We used to have, when I first moved into Piscataway, at that corner of Hose Lane and Park Avenue, there was a small building that was the YMCA, and they had an outdoor pool, and they gave swimming lessons, and then through the years, then they moved on, and the building was demolished, and the rest is history. What Mayor Waller has done with that project is amazing. It's really a beautiful setup activity. Even the senior center was a small building before they built the new facility and attached this TV station to it. Things are coming along very nicely. I'm so proud of Piscataway and all the people that make it a better place to live. And the mix of people that we have, not only racially, ethnically. There's so much to be proud of and to celebrate in Piscataway.
Camille, you have given me a wonderful understanding of what Piscataway is today, and I'm so glad you've shared your experiences with me. And yes, and we are so lucky to be in Piscataway because of the community center and the senior center.
Yes.
And the recreation program.
And
we could go on and on.
Right.
The libraries, we could go on and on.
Yes. Yes. And it's only getting better as more people get involved and things change and people have ideas and suggestions. And no suggestion is a bad suggestion, in my opinion. We all bring our point of view to a situation.
Well, Camille, thank you for taking the time today to be on the Senior Spotlight. And thank you to all the viewers who have taken their time out of their day to watch the Senior Spotlight today. And I'd like to say to everyone, please be on the outlook for future episodes of the Senior Spotlight for interesting and creative seniors that live in Piscataway Township.